Jason, and we have some cool stuff to show off with CodeSpells. But a quick announcement: we're a small team, and we're actually hiring. We're looking for another developer to work with Adrian on CodeSpells. Obviously, a cool project.
And with Jason.
And with Jason, of course. Yeah, you get to work with all of us, but you would be a coder, and Adrian's the coder. So definitely be working together tightly with Adrian. But we're giving very strong preference to people in the Austin area. So if you are in the Austin area and you're a coder, or you know someone who's in the Austin area who is a coder and you think they'd be interested in working on CodeSpells, we would love to talk to them. So have them send us an email at... Actually, how should they contact us? What's the best way? You want them to contact you, Adrian?
Yeah. Probably sending me a message on the forums is good.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. I mean, I know there's a official job posting out there, but you can bypass the official channels and contact Adrian directly on the forums. All right, cool. So. Yeah, let's take a look at some of the new UI stuff. That was kind of the focus of last month, was revamping the UI.
We had a bit of a funky month. So Steve and I, you and I both started working on the. We tried to. So we actually transitioned to using pure JavaScript with the Blockly. So the Blockly compiles down to actual real JavaScript, not Unity script, which in a lot of ways is nice because it gives us... We could have sandboxed the Unity script stuff to limit players from doing certain things, but doing it this way we get actual JavaScript so that we can say that people are actually using JavaScript, which is nice, but it also allows us to sandbox spells so that then we can limit certain things that the players can do.
Which would be especially nice in multiplayer because you don't want people being able to run arbitrary code on your machine without you being able to sandbox it and kind of set rules on what it can and can't do.
Yeah, and we can still do a similar eval thing that does run code within Unity. We're doing crazy things, but at least for now, the JavaScript will be sandboxed very similarly to Blockly, so that you don't have access to everything that Unity does. So that as we build different things, we can limit the player from doing all of those things. So apart from that, we also wanted to rebuild. So we did that, and we actually tried a system that we spent a bit on, and it did not work. So we ended up switching to another system, which is what we're doing now. But we also decided to change up the UI, and this is probably our most I wouldn't say the things might go wrong. This is probably the least stable update we've done up until now. We're still in the editor and stuff, so it might some stuff might be a little funky.
Well, the game is running.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign.
Yeah.
But okay, so we should expect some. We should expect a bumpy road here.
I'm gonna try to avoid the bumps, but so the first thing is we have a new interface.
Oh my gosh!
Spells where you can select spells. This is all
totally elementary.
Some of this stuff isn't even working. The idea with this is that you have all your spells in one place and you can filter them, so that you can set tags on spells. And have all of your spells in one place and be able to search them.
So what's an example of an actual use case?
Yeah, so let's say I want to just show all of my earth spells, then I would... This is not functioning, but I would uncheck water, fire, and air, and then it would show only the orange circled earth spells. So this is kind of leading towards the spell sharing also, which we will have ways of sharing spells online. We rebuilt the system for the spell files to be different, so there's quite a bit different with all of the underlying stuff, but the idea with this is to be able to kind of organize everything better. And you'll also have the ability to create multiple spell wheels, so you'll be able to drag a spell into a slot in the spell wheel so that you can have different spell wheels that you can pop up in game.
So like if you... I'm just trying to think of an example. Like if you could have like a spell wheel for your like defensive spells and a spell wheel for your attacking spells, or maybe actually like a spell wheel with some combination of both. A spell wheel that encapsulates a particular strategy that you plan on using, or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a deck.
A deck. Oh yeah, I like that. That's a good metaphor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are that's it's just a way of customizing your experience. So it's also like a playlist, is kind of how we were thinking of it, like in a music. Like this is your whole library, and you have like a playlist in your wheels. But yeah, so the other thing that's pretty cool about this is we're working on getting it so that you can create GIFs for your spells. So
I believe it's pronounced GIF.
Yeah, I really don't mind either way.
No, it's important.
So the concept is that throughout the game, my hope, I haven't tested it yet, but the idea is that at any point you'll be able to press a button and record out the last 5 seconds or 10 seconds of the game to a GIF. And then you'll have a GIFs library where you can see all the GIFs of like things you've done, so that you can share spells that you've done. And then you can associate your spell with a GIF. So if you select it, it'll show the GIF here. And that way when you share it, other people can see the GIF and see like kind of a little bit of a preview of what your spell does. The exact details of that are not done, but we want to have at least some sort of preview so that other people can see the spell that you're doing.
Right.
And we'll add like a description, all that stuff, and you can add tags. The nice thing about adding tags is that you can filter here with your own tags. And also if you decide to share your spell online, so that other people can view it, those tags will be there so other people can search for your spell.
Right. Who's Ancients? I noticed all of these are created by Ancients.
Yeah, that was just my thing for us.
That's
us.
That's like spells that will come with the
it's
that
just,
we made during development.
just pre-built spells for fun.
Yeah.
It just
Gotcha.
seems like but yeah, so the main one of the things is we were trying to push ahead with a lot of the specific features of different elements, and we realized that the core programming experience was still a little bit off, so we wanted to come back and kind of make this work. That way we can get a better concept of what's missing by making the programming part more complete, and then we can continue with the remaining elements. So yeah, and along that we also made it so you can make JavaScript spells now, which is pretty cool. So I can do a new spell, maybe, and you can select a type, so I'll select JavaScript, and I should be able to type it out. So let's say like JavaScript test, and that doesn't select it in here, but should select it here. So edit it, and now we can go in.
Oh, cool!
And we have JavaScript test. So
so you built this entire JavaScript editor, right?
No, this is using the Ace editor.
Yeah. No, that is one of the most fantastic editors.
Yeah, it's pretty great. The other thing is, well, we're gonna make getting to the spells faster. It's very frustrating. But we can come in here and do like object.
Yeah, this is awesome.
We also made some pretty big changes to. I don't know what I did wrong. Where's that? Cool. Oh, it's setting the orb velocity to 0. Yeah.
Noob.
Now they're gonna pull it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's pretty fun. And now we can go back and let's make it turn up by 45 degrees. Let's do the JSON. When activate it, we'll say or dot destroy self. I don't remember. We're gonna definitely need to have
tab completion.
more. Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool. That's a 45-degree angle. That's awesome.
And then click it, it lets go, which is pretty fun. So this is cool. There were also some substantial changes to Blockly. Does that show up as JavaScript? Where is it? It doesn't say. It's really funny. I don't know why the type always says Blockly. Oh, I didn't actually set that field. That's why. I never actually set that field to the proper text. But let's say we take another, let's say like add heat, and we edit it. There's some substantial changes. So let me go back. I don't want to edit that one. I want to edit that. So there's some substantial changes to like create physical connection and stuff like that. You can create an elastic connection, and you do last hit world object, which gets the last hit object. So you can technically do this at any point. So you can do this on activate, but last hit world object will not necessarily be set to anything.
Right.
The elastic connections do have a max distance where they break, but this allows you a little bit more control of doing things. So you could actually save the last hit world object as a variable and create an elastic connection to it after an amount of time or stuff like that. So we shifted Blockly to have more variables so that it's less constrained in that way. So there's actually a lot of cool stuff in Blockly that'll.
Does it crash if you try to make a connection to something that's null?
I don't think so. I think I made it check it, but if it does, certain things like that will just have to throw a warning for to display to the player. So with all this new interface stuff, we have a concept for doing icons for each of the spells as well. So each of these little guys right here would actually be an icon that you can edit. And then we want to make an interface for debugging where at any point in the game you can press a button to enter the debug mode, and what it would do is it would basically show the icons of each spell over them, and you could select them and see like print out stuff that they might have said. So if they had an error, it would say at what line the error happened. If you printed out stuff in your spell and wanted it to say like, I've got this much mana left or whatever, you could print out those things, or you could just make it say hello world. You could print out all those things and you could select the icon to show the information for it. So there's a lot of stuff like that we're still finishing up, but we want to try to just make the programming part of it much more accessible, because as much as people have done awesome stuff with it, we feel like there's a little bit that we've wanted to do that we've just kind of put off while trying to build more systems that we just want to try to get to now. So that's the main thing we're working on right now, and I'm really hoping to get this done very soon and get it out to people.
Yeah, cool. Well, this looks awesome. This is definitely coming along really well, and I'm excited to use it too. I think we should transition and look at some of the art that Jason's been working on. I've seen some of the early concepts, but I would definitely like to see the current versions.
Sure.
And while we're getting that up, I'll just reiterate for people who don't know. I mean, Jason's concept art is kind of the main driver for the look and feel of the game, and also for the lore of the game. And so these things kind of give you the, probably the clearest picture of where the game's headed in the future.
Yeah, and we have an art book, digital art book for Kickstarter backers that will be getting out pretty soon, and so I've been working on a lot of concepts and stuff that are going to go in there, and it helps me too because the more concepts I do, the clearer it becomes what needs to be built and what doesn't. So
yeah, these guys are so cool.
Yeah.
All right, what are we looking at?
Well, I've been doing a lot of like creature stuff because we're obviously not working on life yet because there's so many things to do. But when the time comes to start making critters, I want them to be as fleshed out as possible. So I'm doing a lot of concepts, and I'm also doing a lot of like on paper design of how they'll interact and stuff. So these guys are called wolf crows and crow wolves, and they're sort of symbiotic creatures. So there's two wolves in the front, and you can't really see too well, but the markings on their face are. Could you full screen that?
Oh yeah.
Um,
I don't know why.
the markings on their face are they're not eyes. They're just sort of colorful markings to deceive anyone who might try to sneak up on them. But they have a thing on the top of their head that links them up to this crow that flies around. And so the crow and the wolves sort of share vision. And so the crow can scout out prey and spot things from far away, and then the wolves can track them down and kill it. And then the crow gets a snack, and the wolves all get to eat. So they bond with this crow creature, and they sort of are like two symbiotic species that live off of each other.
So they come in threes? Is it always two wolves and one crow?
I originally thought it would be 2 or 3 wolves, or it could just be 1 wolf. But I don't know. I had a couple different models for it. One was that there's only 1 wolf that bonds with the crow, and the other wolves follow that wolf. So if that wolf gets taken out, or gets, something happens to it, the other wolves are kind of lost. And then there's sort of like a pecking order of who gets to be bonded with the crow next. That's a little complicated, but it's also kind of cool. Like, I mean, those are the kind of behaviors that, like, as you go deeper and deeper with them, it just, it adds more and more stuff that the player can do with them. So, and we're not, none of this is set in stone, but these are all sort of ideas for it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that idea. Yeah, cool. What's the next
Cool. You want forest?
Oh yeah, they have different things on them, like different colorations. I'm not sure if they'll all look the same, those crow wolves, but maybe.
Oh, this is great.
Anyway, this is a concept for like a big relic, like a big arch. And I know we had one in the old build of the game, but I really want to make one that's a little more like a place where the player can get to, like, that you could possibly get up onto that thing, that allows you to kind of like take a little break from the world and look around and make some spells and think about what you want to do next, and have these things kind of be like resting points for the player. And
where
also,
the crow wolves can't get you?
Yeah, exactly. And also possibly like you could play games with them. Like you could imagine throwing a ball through that.
That's about
Through that up there, or using the bottom part as a goal for something.
Yeah.
It's pretty big in this picture, but the scale can vary. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm building it in 3D now, actually, and I think it'll be really cool. We'll probably get that in the game as an artifact. Hopefully,
I think
not
we just
too
need
far
a
away.
giant ball. I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah.
Just add a giant ball to throw in them.
Oh, we already have the ball.
Yeah, but a giant one. I want a giant bouncy ball.
I'm pretty sure one's going to end up in the game somehow or another.
Yeah, and also, I think it'd be cool, like, right now you can see there's, like, this blue crystal kind of vein running through it. And I think it'd be cool if we could do different things, like light it up different colors, if we played some sort of team game. You could have the goals be different colors, or when you score a goal or you put the ball through it, it would, like, react in a certain way. These are all just ideas. I don't know. We'll see. But I wanna make some more like reactive artifacts like this that are fun for the players.
Yeah.
So.
And for those, I mean, there might be. I know we say this on every update, but there might be some new viewers. So I'll reiterate. We're always kind of trying to push beyond just the idea that Magic's about like shooting stuff at people and trying to kill them and do damage. I mean, it certainly can do that, but in a world like CodeSpells where the magic is just so rich and complex, we think the wizards actually would do things that are more rich and complex than try to kill each other all the time. And so they'd probably play some pretty cool games and sports and stuff. So
yeah.
I like your happy little trees in there too.
Thanks. Yeah, happy little trees. They just live up there.
And actually, what's right under the arch? There's some like happy little fluffs or something.
There's little critters there, which I haven't decided what those are in the picture yet because this picture isn't done. But in the next picture, there's some more little critters. Maybe we can look at them.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is
oh man. That is exciting.
A painting I started a long time ago before we got trees in the game, just sort of like as an idea of what I wanted it to feel like when you're in the forest. And we're obviously still working towards that. Like the forests right now are a little clumped up and we want to spread them out and make them a little more playable. Like right now, it's when you run into a forest, it's pretty cramped and they're all kind of like, they end very abruptly, and I want to make them feel a little more spaced out and prettier to walk through. And then obviously when we get to life, I want to fill them with all sorts of creatures that can hide in there. So these little guys in the foreground that are by the player are like they're little fuzzy owl kittens.
Oh my gosh, that's so adorable.
It's like I try to take like a puppy and a kitten and an owl and put them together to make the cutest creature imaginable.
Oh man!
I started building it in game, or not in game, but in engine. It isn't quite cute enough, so it's not ready for the world. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll get that in there someday. And I want them to sort of be. I don't know, like I want there to be creatures that you don't just feel like you want to fight. I want there to be creatures that you see doing their thing and, you like them, you want to like hang out with them. And then that big guy in the back there, that large predator is inspired a little bit by this gig from the Dark Crystal, that little ball with all the teeth.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a big fuzzy lion, bear, dinosaur creature with fur. It's not necessarily like the final design, but I want to make an ecosystem where there are like apex predators, and I think it'd be cool to have this guy be be the sort of like apex predator of a certain region.
Do they eat the owl cats?
No.
Well, the owlcats are certainly running away for a reason.
Oh no! They're so cute! Nothing should eat owlcats!
Well, I actually have a whole idea for how the owlcats can protect themselves.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Wait, can you share it? I haven't heard this idea.
Well,
or is it a secret?
The owlcats, I imagine that they spend a lot of their days foraging around in the woods and that they would collect a specific type of plant that if they put in a certain place will attract another type of animal that can protect them.
Oh.
So like animals wouldn't just do animal things. Like that's another thing about the world is I don't want it to just be a brutal world of tooth and claw where all the animals are just out to kill each other. Like I want it to feel like a magical ecosystem, so that there would be creatures that would be benign or helpful and could protect the player or protect other animals, and certain creatures which are a little more dangerous and a little more menacing. But I don't know. I don't want a world filled with mobs. I want a world filled with like or with creatures that don't do anything that you just kind of like harvest for stuff. I want creatures that really like you kind of stick for, or you root for, or you just want to find them, like something that would maybe be rare. Like I imagine this predator guy would be kind of hard to just find.
Right.
You wouldn't just run into one. It'd be like pretty difficult because he doesn't really want to be found.
Yeah.
Napping in the woods.
He looks mad. He does. He does not look happy that you woke him up.
He got woke up.
Yeah, he's saying hi.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff, these like furry creatures, trying to figure out how to make them look furry and make them have that sort of Jim Henson kind of feel to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if we've told this story before, but I'll tell it anyway. Again, like the day before we started on CodeSpells, we're like, all right, we need to watch a movie that like is a good reference point. And so we sat down and watched The Dark Crystal, and so I just think it's funny that the that inspiration is still there even a year later.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's the most realized like magical ecosystem in like a movie I've ever seen. Like things like Avatar and stuff did a good job too, but they don't really that's more, it's more practical than it is magical, and I like when you can kind of feel like you can break the rules of nature and make a creature just like a magical creature instead of just like a regular
furry little ball.
Yeah, like a furry little ball.
Yes. Well, if anyone has not seen that movie, you should definitely go watch The Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
So yeah, every update we always try to kind of project forward and say what the roadmap is. Sometimes it changes. For the most part, we're pretty consistent. But Adrian, what's the roadmap feature wise?
Yeah. So this month was pretty slow. I apologize that we haven't put out an update. There was a lot of stuff that we tried out this month that actually just didn't work. We tried out a foliage system, and I think it will work, but we wanted to rebuild the foliage in the game because it's not working very well, and we had to step back from that for a little bit. But there is, I think we're headed in the right direction with the stuff we're doing right now. So the plan is, for the holidays, we want to have, so around mid-December, we want to have all this new UI stuff done, and air magic and fire magic done, and hopefully spell sharing. So that you can share all your spells, and we want to just get the experience of programming to feel good, and we want to have a good, especially air magic and fire magic, we just want to get them to a good state. The reason we went back to programming was that we wanted to start on air magic, and we realized that we needed the programming to be better for air magic, because a lot of the stuff that we want to do with air magic depends on the programming side of things, because it's going to facilitate certain things. We have a lot of cool ideas for that, for how air magic will allow you to gather information about the world that you can use in your spells. So to do that, we needed to redo a lot of the blockly stuff. So anyway.
And was the foliage revamp also in there, or did you say that that's not on the table anymore?
It depends. So part of doing fire magic was doing a better fire spreading simulation, and that may depend on getting a better foliage system working. So hopefully yes, but that's a secondary priority dependent on how fire magic goes. So the top priorities for this month and going into December is to get air magic and fire magic done, and to get a whole new spell interface working, and to get the spell sharing working.
Great.
We're looking to hire someone else so that the second programmer can start working on networking stuff primarily, so that that person would start probably as soon as we hired that person, they would start working on networking. We'd probably do a couple of other smaller projects just to kind of get used to the project, but after that, would start on networking. So ideally get about a month in of that person working on networking, and then I would switch over to working on networking with them in January. So hopefully we'll have multiplayer working around February of next year. That's the plan. So
cool.
There's a lot to get to that point, but that is the current plan. This month kind of set us back a little bit because it was not as we didn't get as much as we thought we would this month. But for December, we definitely want to have we want for the holidays, we want the game to feel like you can share spells and have the complete sandbox experience that we're wanting, which it's almost there. It's just we just need to finish Air Magic and Fire Magic and finish the coding interface. So
cool. Well, I'm not watching the Twitch chat right now. Are either of you watching it?
Yeah, we both.
Yeah. Any questions in the chat?
A lot of names being thrown around for these critters, which is great.
That is great.
I thought you meant for programmers. But so we've come full circle. I'll mention what I said in the beginning. We're definitely looking for programmers. So if you know somebody in the Austin area who is a talented coder, you should have them contact Adrian via the Learn to Mod forums.
Yeah, we also have a CodeSpells posting on Monster.
Is it Learn to Mod?
Yeah, on the CodeSpells forums. I think you said Learn to Mod forums. We have a posting on Monster as well.
Right.
That should be searchable if that is more comfortable. But sending me a message on the CodeSpells forums works great. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know if there's any other questions. It doesn't look like anyone has any other questions. I think someone said something earlier that I thought we could answer, but I kind of lost it. So
I'm looking through. I like that people are already proposing the CodeSpells Sports League.
Yeah.
Why we put a ball in there? We want people to start making spells that manipulate those things. See what they can come up with.
Yeah. So someone asked. It's a good question. Someone asked if there was going to be a point to the game, and right now we're trying to build. So we're trying, as a good comparison, we're trying to go with something similar to Gary's mod, where you can build a lot of stuff with the systems of the game. So we do have ways of creating game modes. It's not super hashed out just yet, but we want it to feel like a sandbox first, and then we will be adding our own game modes that will add more structure to the game.
Yeah,
but
honestly,
we hope that we'll make more of it.
Yeah, that's our focus is more creating. Unlike Gary's mod, you don't just start up in a blank canvas situation. Like, we want you to start up in a living world and then play in that world. So, maybe eventually we want to be able to make people, or give people more of a blank canvas to start on. But, the game itself is about experimenting with spells and coding in a magical sandbox. So, more structured games are, they require, we want to leave that up to people to do.
Yeah. So I fully predict someone will make a game mode or meditation that is highly structured and very linear. I think that'd be really cool. I mean, the tools exist for doing that, and it's just kind of up to you as a player whether that's the kind of game mode you gravitate towards playing or not.
Yeah. There's a question about JavaScript interface only working. Will the JavaScript interface only work with preset functions, or will we be able to work with eval sorts of JavaScript direct? So it is pure JavaScript, so you cannot do calls to Unity script directly. So you can't do like get component and stuff like that. We will still have a version of eval, so that you can run eval blocks similarly to Blockly. So you can, inside of a JavaScript function, you can send an eval string of Unity script to Unity to eval it. I would also like to expose more stuff through Blockly and JavaScript so that you can do a little bit more powerful stuff. So as we add more features, a lot of that will hopefully become exposed without eval. So a lot of the things that people are doing with eval, we want to try to make accessible through just other features of the language. So we'll also be trying to add more of those with this new Blockly rewrite as well next month.
Yep. Somebody also asked, we'll get to the discussion that's going on now about sort of the point of the player inside the game. But also, somebody asked, what will Air Magic do? And we don't have... I mean, Air Magic will be very... Air Magic, we want to manage sort of what people expect from it, because it's very different than pushing things around with wind in the way that we're visualizing it right now. So we don't have a like super clear features list to give you guys for what Air Magic will do, but its function has much more to do with getting information by sensing the world around you through the air in the world than it is necessarily about like lifting things up with the wind, which we've delegated to Earth Magic as gravity magic. So Air Magic will give you all sorts of useful things that will make your spells much more powerful, because it will give you more information, specific information about what's going on in the world around you, which will allow you to do more with it. That's the roughest sketch of Air Magic that I can say right now, but
yeah, and I think we've said this before, but you know, we design in cycles, so the only things we know for sure are what we're doing in the next design cycle. So what we are for sure going to do in the next design cycle is have Air Magic involve sensing, like Jason said. In the long run, will it control the weather? Don't know. It's not going to happen in the next cycle, but could be. In the long run, will it, you know, I don't know, do something else from the last Airbender? Not sure. But, you know, so it's too early to say what it won't do. We can only know a small subset of the things that it will do. But we think that that small subset will be pretty cool coming in the next couple months.
Yep. There's also a question about other features like lava, ice, and maybe lightning. Those things will probably not happen in this cycle. If we do get far enough before December, then that will happen. I don't expect it to, which means that it'll probably, those types of larger features in the world will probably happen early next year. So we'll be, like I said, we'll be trying to get everything to a fun state where all the elements feel pretty balanced for December, and then we'll be doing networking, and then we'll come back, and while we're doing networking, we can continue to add more features, but for now, a lot of those features are not top priority. Those are just a little bit. We will try to get to them, but they're not on the priority list for the current cycle.
And you actually have made some progress on it. It's kind of invisible. No one sees it necessarily, but you did rewrite the fluid simulation engine such that there can be other fluids like lava, and even actually might even be robust enough to handle something like ice as well.
Yeah, and a lot of that work made it so that should be easier. So, like I said, if there is time, then we can try to get to that. But for every cycle that we work in, we have things that we definitely need to get done, and then things that we want to get done. And unfortunately, those types of features for now are behind getting stuff balanced out.
But if it makes anyone feel better, we definitely want those things. And
Yeah.
And I think it's not an exaggeration to say it's been on every cycle so far. We've been like, okay, should we do lava and ice in this cycle? And we always end up pushing it, but it's always there. So
yeah, I mean, we really want the ideal state that we want to get to is the point where we have the game where it feels like a good sandbox and there's a little bit of everything, and we can just from there keep adding little features. But after the early access and in a couple of months, we've realized that there's certain features that are just not to that level yet, so we've had to bring them up. But once everything is up to a good starting level, then we'll get to the point where we can just keep adding new features, which will be the most fun part of the project.
Yeah.
And we play the game also. We try to play it as much as possible, and we try to see, like, I would really like to be able to do this or do this. And part of that is like we see what other people suggest and think like, yeah, that would be awesome right here. So we do want to do all these things. It's just part of the reason we're getting another programmer is to help along with these things as well. So
yeah.
So
to slightly address the conversation that's happening in the discussion right now, I think talking about like what the story of the game or the point of the game, we are obviously being very purposefully vague about any sort of story specifics, because we're not making a game with a hard like story like something like Skyrim, which requires a very rigid structure and tons of story content, like characters that talk to you and do things. I would say if someone were to say what is the point of CodeSpells, and we get asked this question a lot, beyond a fun sandbox to play in, if you were to say, well, why are these wizards going to this weird world and doing this stuff? The point is that these wizards they're basically like scientists. They're computer scientists, and they're making these spells and they're doing this stuff to explore and learn about this strange world that they're going back to. So the motivation for the player and for the character that they make in the game really is curiosity and mastery over magic and learning how to have the most fun in the world. And as other players, as we get towards multiplayer, the ability to play with each other generates its own set of goals and things that people can do with each other.
And we'll absolutely have structure to it. So right now there's not much structure to the game, but we'll absolutely have objectives where it's like the reason that we have the programming of the game modes is so that you can say, like, I built a survival mode similar to Minecraft, where you have certain you don't have all of the spell features available at first, so you can't access all the things that orbs can do, so you have to start exploring and finding stuff, and you gain more features for spells. Then you can create more intricate spells, so then you find more stuff, and you start unlocking things as you go, and then you try to survive in this world. So that was one of the ideas that we had. Another possibility is that you can't program at all in the game mode, and what you do is you just explore the world, and when you find other spells, and you can never edit spells in that game mode. So we have a structure for making it so that there will be objectives and different game modes that have clear goals and
that you can turn on or off. Because also I think it's important to have a mode where you have no objectives except exploration also, and let the player just make stuff and have fun.
Yeah.
So but we do want to create a structure where players can sort of turn on and off limits for each other and for themselves so that they can have more of a structured game if they want it.
Yeah.
A good metaphor here is a game engine. I mean, it's obviously CodeSpells is much more than just an engine, but it's sort of more in the, if you imagine a spectrum from engine to game, CodeSpells is somewhere in the middle, but it's not all the way over on game, partially because we don't intend to have like these kind of like hard structures in it. But it has enough engine capabilities that you can create these, game modes or meditations that do have structure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of games that are sandbox games are, they give you a lot of freedom in certain ways, but they're quite structured in other ways where they restrict what the player can do when it matters to something like the story of the game. And what we're trying to do is build like a true sandbox, like as if you landed on another planet and you were a magical wizard who could do anything you wanted with code. Go out there, make your own games, make your own spells. It's a true sandbox instead of a sandbox game where you are, where you're often restricted in, when it serves the designers to restrict you. We want to really, leave it up to the players to decide when they want limits or not.
Yeah.
It also, I think, creates the best environment for coding because you get to see what your spells do in a more dynamic way if the world is really open, rather than if we didn't let you do a certain spell, because we didn't want you to go to a certain place because that's where some, character is that you can't meet. Like, it's just a different kind of game.
Yeah. All right, there were two more questions that I saw. One was, will it be possible to build and craft stuff? We did have a system that's part of Fire Magic, so hopefully we'll get that to some extent for December. You will be able to destroy objects and build objects. The exact details of it we're not sure about. We have several ideas. It won't be as intricate as crafting in Minecraft or anything like that, but we will have some way of creating new objects and destroying objects. The other question is, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, let's make it the last question.
Oh, yeah. There was one more question that was, when can we expect an update? So this stuff should be, the stuff that I'm working on now, we should be able to release next week. So by the end of next week, we should have an update to all the people. It won't have, obviously, won't have all of the stuff for December, but we will have that. It will come with possibly some issues with older spells, so I do need to try to make it not break old spells. There is already some rudimentary upgrading of old spells, but I do need to clean that up a little bit more so that people don't lose the spells that they've already created. And yeah, I don't think that's it.
Well, I think the time has come to say goodbye to the owl cats, which is actually very sad.
Yeah. Here's some more lore.
Someday there's some more lore.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if anyone gets that joke, but I don't care. That's
You are a nerd.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's say goodbye to Data Lore and the Owl Cats and Mr. Adrian and Jason. And we'll see you next month.
Cool.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.